Well, I think it's multifaceted, but healthcare has dominated Democratic politics for the last, really a big part of the last decade. When you think about Obamacare, and a lot of that not working, and Republicans, of course, trying to dismantle it, in part with good reason. But in the 2018 election, that was by far and away the biggest issue people voted on was health care, and it's what all the candidates ran their ads on. So it doesn't surprise me that it's extending to this debate tonight in this race.
Sure.
I would expect, though, that Medicare for All will be the dominant issue in this primary and really in the general as well.
And Christy, to see climate change also polling so high, do you think tonight will be Democrats talking to Democrats, especially progressives in their party, because this is a primary and they stand out on that extreme? Are they going to potentially alienate some of the independents who the whole idea for 2020 is to peel them off from supporting President Trump, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not sure that talking about climate change is going to alienate anyone that would not potentially already be a Democratic voter. Look, I believe that it's an issue that we can talk about in terms of how it affects the economy, how it affects national security. Look, I think that that is an issue in particular that they're going to find broad support on. Generally speaking, sure, Democrats tonight are going to be talking to other Democrats. That's why they signed up for this thing. That's, the conversation that we're going to be having for, most of the next, 6 months. But they're going to be looking at a couple other things, too, right? They're going to be looking at how the people on stage are going to line up in terms of being able to take on Donald Trump. That's largely going to be a tone issue, I think. And they're also going to have some issues like, say, some of the ones who've talked about breaking up big tech that are clearly crossover issues, too. We can think about them as Democratic issues, but they're really not. And I believe independents and Republicans as well find that it resonates with them.
But, John, I didn't see breaking up big tech polling very high, when Elon was talking about what voters are looking for. So, again, I do wonder how much of this will be shaped by those top one or two concerns and, frankly, how much we will still end up hearing about the president.
Well, I do think there's going to be an awful lot, as Christy indicated, of basic introduction. Remember, if you're Amy Klobuchar, you know that Democratic voters around the country just don't know you very well at all. Same is true even for somewhat better-known people like Cory Booker or even Beto O'Rourke. They're going to try to make an initial impression, an initial connection with voters. And I think the frame of the debate in terms of issues is going to be the position staked out by Elizabeth Warren, who is both the leader in the overall race, but also the leading in the polls among the people on stage tonight. And she's talked about, say, breaking up Facebook. Cory Booker does not go there. Booker, O'Rourke, and Klobuchar are staking out somewhat more moderate positions. The 2% wealth tax. Cory Booker's not for the wealth tax. So you see a span of Democrats. People are going to try to slot themselves in as, are you leaning more toward the more aggressive side of the progressive set of arguments, or are you going to be more in the moderate camp like Booker, O'Rourke, Klobuchar, and Joe Biden, who, of course, will be on stage tomorrow?
And speaking of Biden, Sarah, do you want to be Joe Biden these first two nights, or do you want to not be Joe Biden?
Well, he's in a very difficult position right now as the front runner, and he only really has one way to go, I think. And I would expect that tonight will foretell tomorrow night, which is if Beto O'Rourke and Cory Booker are more aggressive, as John pointed out with Elizabeth Warren, we're going to see that in spades tomorrow night, because Bernie Sanders, is gunning for that top slot in the primary, and he's going to have to, take apart sort of Joe Biden's moderation in the Democratic Party. And more importantly than even Bernie, it's all these other individuals, these, call it 16 other individuals who nobody is even speaking about right now, who have to find a way to break through, or they're not going to be on the stage later this year in these debates. So I expect fireworks to fly, and that's somewhat unusual in presidential politics. Normally you would get through 2 or 3 debates before you would see people taking shots at each other.
Let me ask you each to give a quick answer, a who and why, to the following question. Christy, you, John, then Sarah. Of this entire roster of Democrats, who do you think could be the sleeper to emerge from these first 2 debates the way Trump did in the debates 4 years ago? Who would the sleeper be, Christy?
Yeah. So, listen, the cycle has been so long already that we've already seen a number of different boomlets. We already are sort of over Beto O'Rourke. Mayor Pete might be at the end of his boomlet. We seem clearly to be in the middle of an Elizabeth Warren boomlet right now. So obviously, whoever's going to break out tonight is going to be probably not one of those people. I'll put my money again on Jay Inslee because, again, as we just said, climate could be a real breakout issue for these people. And if I could have one more, I'm just going to go Cory Booker.
All right, John, who do you say? Who's the sleeper who might break out tonight?
Well, I'd be watching, if you're talking about over both nights, I would say Kamala Harris of California. Yeah, Kamala Harris has tremendous upside in the race, a lot of potential. She has not performed up to expectations so far in terms of her poll standing. Seen people like Pete Buttigieg, much less known at this start, pass her in the polls and in some of the attention that he's gotten for his performance. So I'm going to be watching to see if she galvanizes Democrats tomorrow night, and she'll have that opportunity with the big dogs in the race, Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden.
Sarah, you get the last shot here. Who could emerge?
I'm going to be watching Amy Klobuchar. She has a very mild manner. She is a moderate, yet as a female, as a Midwesterner, she checks all the right boxes. And I think you could see a scenario where, if you remember in the Republican primary last go-around, Carly Fiorina was always on the junior stage and ultimately made it to the big stage because she was very clever in these debates. And you could see someone like Amy Klobuchar not getting the nomination, but maybe doing a little better.